So hi, I'm Bridget Kidd.
And I'm Freddie Riddler.
And you're listening to Through the Leadership Lens, presented by Women in Propane. In this episode, we will hear from Jessica Johnson from Thompson Gas on what it means to be a leader and what she's learned through her extensive career in propane.
Hello, Jessica Johnson. Welcome to Through the Leadership Lens podcast. How are you today?
Hi, Freddie. Hi, Bridget. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. I'm excited to do this. I love how you said extensive career. My 7 years feels like a lifetime, honestly.
Extensive is in the eye of the beholder, I believe, right?
Yeah. In fact, the whole month of August felt like about 6 months to me. I don't know about you guys, but it's been
August was quick. It came and it's gone. Like, I don't even know what I did in August.
Right.
It's really fast.
It's crazy. Well, Jessica, I'll tell you, August is my anniversary month in the propane industry, and I have now been here for a decade, which seems like maybe 3 or 4 decades.
Right?
Congratulations.
Yeah. Something about
it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to be somewhere 10 years, but 7 is very, very close and a long time still. 7 years is
it's been a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm excited to talk about leadership. This is exciting.
Well, before we get into that, will you tell us a little bit about kind of who you are and how you got here, and where you were before those 7 years and what those 7 years have looked like?
Yeah, my gosh. So, again, Jessica Johnson. I'm with Thompson Gas. And before I was in propane, I was managing an art gallery. I live in the mountains of North Carolina, really artistic community. And I was moving furniture and displaying pottery and ordering glass and just doing all kinds of crazy gallery stuff. And I decided that, I was working nights, weekends, holidays. We wanted to start a family, and I just really wanted sort of a different industry, a different schedule. And I always say I just sort of stumbled into propane, and it really chose me, but I think I chose it right back. And I would have never said, in a million years, I think I'll go into propane. But here I am. And it's just been so exciting to be part of the industry, that there's so much more to it than grills and what kind of the public perceives. So I got my start in auto gas, which not a lot of people may know about me, but that's really sort of the foundation of everything I learned about propane. And with Thompson, I'm just doing some special projects, some national accounts. I'm also pretty involved with Women in Propane. And that's sort of how I ended up right here.
Perfect. And listening to that story, can you share a time throughout that process of art galleries and working in auto gas and Women in Propane? What happened in your career or your life that it was a defining time for you, that you said to yourself, I feel like a leader? What is leadership to me?
What does leadership mean to me? So many small points that kind of led here. I started at the gallery in college. I worked for over 10 years there. So I really grew up kind of in that environment. And, I worked hard every day. I had fun every day, and we just had a really great team. And before I knew it, I was running the place, and I had keys, and I was making decisions. And by the time I left, I had redone the website. I had started, online ordering. I was really kind of bringing us into whatever year it was, 2014. So, just being able to make decisions and have people trust me with that really just, I kind of just kept taking risks and not asking for permission. I would just do things that I saw that needed to be done. And when I made the switch into propane, sort of the same thing. Um, you've got to take initiative because no one's going to give you permission um, to really go for the things you want except yourself. So I think, Freddie, you also asked, like, what does leadership mean? To me, it's really almost equally about what is leadership not. And
Mhm.
I don't think that leadership is, a hierarchy or giving orders from a corner office. I don't think that that's what leadership really is. I think it's leading by example and working alongside your team and, being in, up to here and whatever the project is and turning to them and saying, isn't this fun? We're doing it. Um, because if you have a leader who's right beside you, it's so much easier to work that much harder because you see them working even harder than you. And I think that that could just be really helpful for anyone, whether it's a large team, whether it's one on one, whether anyone can be a leader.
Mhm.
So that's sort of what it means to me, and that's sort of how I've run my career. I'm trying to learn from as many people as I can, and I'm trying to at the same time teach the things that I know so that we're all better.
Yep.
What about Jessica? When you look at your career and kind of your experience in evolving into a leader, um, you hit on something that resonates really with me about taking risks and not necessarily asking for permission, which that's kind of a danger zone for a lot of people. Everything will tell you don't do that, right? So
Yeah.
what do you see about maybe how you've changed personally in your career, or your leadership style has changed, that allowed you to go from, you're probably everything inside saying, this may not be the best decision. Don't go that far. How have
Yeah.
you changed to say, no, that's okay, and I'm gonna take that risk? And how do you mitigate that?
Yeah, good question. Well, so for me, where do I start? I'm very fortunate to be with a company like Thompson Gas because they're very big on empowerment. And some days I feel just so empowered that I think I could do anything. And I just kept doing things that I wanted to do, like join a committee, volunteer for a project, um, do some work before we even get started and say, hey, here are my ideas, just really being proactive and not necessarily jumping in with my eyes closed, but kind of jumping in with one eye, like, I think I can do this. Let's find out. And the more that I do that, the more success the projects have because there's an element of excitement and uh, a certain momentum that is created by somebody taking a risk because there's bound to be one other person that'll jump in with you. There's always one. So, this podcast is a perfect example of that. I mean, I am just blown away by the way that we pulled it together. And it started with an idea.
Mhm.
And Bridget, it started with, I saw a video. I met a nice, friendly guy. I met someone who invited me to be on a committee. And within 48 hours, we were making a dream come true. And I think that that all happened because everyone was just willing to say, yeah, okay, why not? Let's see what happens.
It's always volunteering. Sure, let's try and see what happens. Let's see where it goes, right?
See what happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And I think that really, really remembering that throughout your day, and not getting kind of bogged down with, your email or everyone has deadlines or, just try to remember, like, why don't we try something?
Mm-hmm.
What could happen?
I
So,
think that's so important. Like we had a team meeting recently and you kind of feel a vibe change, right? And it's like, wait a second, what we got to shift back to excitement. And not that every day is going to be rainbows and butterflies, but
right.
at least the spirit behind what we're doing is we are in this together and we have a ton of opportunity out there. That's one of the things about this industry that I love. And I totally resonate with hearing you say, and there's so much opportunity and
Yeah.
there's so many chances to say yes to something.
Yeah.
Um,
There's no
that,
shortage of projects, and
right.
there's no shortage of ideas to be had. But I think, if you can remember to just try and have a little fun, it just amplifies it.
Yeah. And so I'm going to keep going off of that discussion a little bit, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story, then kind of turn it over to you. Leadership changes, right? It evolves. Like you have leadership at work and you have leadership at home. And that changes every single year. And an example of this is COVID. When I worked at
Mhm.
RCC, I was a leadership here in this office, and I consider myself a team leader with just our staff. And when COVID hit, we all went remote. And for about 6 months, that was really hard on me because I wasn't that leader anymore. I was just emailing or virtually having discussions with different team members. And when the world started to open up again, I said to myself, okay, now's my opportunity to get back into a leadership role, but outside of RCC, something with the NPGA. And I went to Atlanta at the Southeastern show and I walked the NPGA booth and I said, my name is Freddie Riddler. What can I do? And I remember Eric going, wow, no one ever comes up here and says, give me a job. I mean, that's because I asked, I'm like, I'm going to go out. I want to experience the what makes the propane industry run, right? Because I worked at RCC for 15, 16 years, but I wanted to grow. I wanted to
Yeah.
evolve. I wanted to do something different. So, Jessica, hearing about your stories, give us your thoughts on, how you become a leader at work, how you become a leader at home with your family, how do you become a leader with your community, and then how are you adapting as the world changes?
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, obviously everything did change, and I'm still working from home, if you can't tell. But it's just it's funny that you mentioned that, because when I worked at the gallery, I got into the habit of walking up to my boss every morning, and she would be just in her calendar and all stressed out, and we weren't even open yet, and I would just say, "What can I do?" And she would go, and then she would name off like 5 things, and I would say, "All right, well, I'm gonna go do that." And I just did it every day, and I think that that's wonderful that that's what you did, because people don't expect it. And with COVID, I really found that, again, you're not with people. You can't brainstorm and collaborate, as naturally as when you're walking down the hall together, and there's a lot of effort that you have to put in,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out, making phone calls, turning your camera on when you're on a
Mm-hmm.
call, even if you're wearing the same shirt you had on yesterday or whatever it is. And I really learned how to kind of lead myself, because it's just me. It's me and my dog all day long. And I've got to reach out, and I've got to, read industry publications, and I've got to keep learning, because nobody's going to walk down my hall and say, "Hey, did you read that article?" I've got to do that. So I think that that might be something that maybe somebody needs to hear, is that, you are very responsible for your growth. And you
Right.
can be at a company and you can have great leadership, but unless you're really trying to grow, you won't.
Yeah.
So that's really one of the major things that I learned recently.
That's awesome. I think that's really an important takeaway. You are responsible for your own growth, and
Yeah.
your company and your structure or your community involvement can support that, but you have to be willing to go back to say yes to it. you have to be willing to say, yeah, that is important. And I am going to prioritize that over, a million other priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it can be rewarding, but a little scary at the same time.
For
mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
So, I have a quick question for you off the discussion. You're working at the art gallery. What was your favorite piece of art when you worked at the art gallery?
Oh my gosh. How much time do we have? I am addicted to pottery. I'm equally addicted to jewelry. But I would have to say it's the pottery for me. And one of my favorite artists, Bill Campbell from Pennsylvania, is retired now. He's no longer in production. So it's a big deal if somebody breaks a plate at my house. um, and then I do have a really incredible potter friend here in North Carolina. His name is Joey Sheehan. If anyone wants to check his work out, it's incredible. So yeah, I could talk pottery for hours.
So we do something fun on our podcast where we're hoping to it gets some legs, but we're having a rapid fire session. So we want to get your initial reaction to our questions, and we'll take turns asking them, but just quick responses. So the first question is, what do you keep in the trunk of your car?
Goodwill donations, my stroller, and my son's stroller, and baby wipes. Always.
Always.
And my
Always
running
baby
shoes,
wipes.
in case I have time.
There was a time in my life where we didn't have to have them anymore, and it was a milestone event for Team Riddler. I remember that. We're like, we don't need them anymore. This is so exciting. But we
That's
still have them
crazy.
because they make good cleanup. So
I was going to
Good for
say, the
everything.
minute you stopped having them, you needed them.
we removed them
Yeah.
from needing them, but we still have them. So you can take away
Yeah.
with that.
There's
So
always a pack.
absolutely. So if you were going to go on a vacation, where would it be? And what's one thing you'd take with you on this trip?
Oh my gosh. I want to go to Greece, and I would take sunscreen. I always take a book on vacation and I never read it. So I think I always have good intentions about being the person with a book, and I just can't. I want to go splash or walk or do anything else than sit with my book. So I think just sunscreen and maybe some good walking shoes.
Are you that person on the airplane that has the book open like this, but is watching the movie in the back of the headrest? I
I
always
don't
get
even
a kick out of them
bother.
because I always look over to see what page number they're on, and about an hour later, I look again, they're still on that same page.
Yes, good
They look like they're
intentions,
reading.
but
Yeah, well intended.
can't. I'm just gonna give up on bringing the book with me. Although I love to read, just not.
Just not on vacation.
No.
That's funny. What do you wish you had known when you were 16 years old that you'd hopefully know now?
Everything is gonna be okay.
I love that.
Everyone is insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is pretending to be cool. And start saving your money right now.
That is a great one. That is great.
I should tell myself that.
Yeah.
If you were not in the propane industry and you can't be working at the art gallery, what other job would you do? What would be your dream job if it wasn't for propane and the art gallery?
I would be a singer in a band, and
I love it.
I would try to run and open my own art gallery, even if it was just like a one-room shop.
So do you sing? Do you sing right now?
I do, yeah. I'm a singer in my, downtime. I went to college and I minored in voice. But I love to sing, and I sing with a group right now, and we have our first show this fall, since before COVID, and
Wow.
I'm so excited.
What kind of music do you sing?
Well, I sing anything and everything. This particular group is like, it's like a motley crew of theater actors, and we do like this fall we're doing a British invasion. So we're Rolling Stones and Beatles and things
Wow.
like that.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
That is
it's pretty niche as far as our audience, but it's so fun. It's really cool.
That is so incredible. I have not only zero ability to sing, I have a fear of watching people that I know perform. How's that for a psychologist dream? I have a
You,
fear. It
you're
petrifies
just
me
like,
to watch people.
you just want them to do so well that you
I just,
can't.
yes. And you want them to feel like they did so well. Cause I have no idea. I mean, listen, you got up there and did it. I'd be thrilled, but I just want somebody to feel like they did well and not,
Oh.
oh, it cripples me.
you. You
It
can
truly
invite me
does.
into
So
your
I will
concert.
not be in your audience, but I'll
I'll,
be
I'll
cheering
be
you
there. You can
on
It's
from
invite me.
afar.
It'll be too hard on you. I don't want to stress you out.
It's a very weird thing. It's a
That's
very weird thing.
funny.
All right. Well, we have one final question for you. And I think that our listeners have gotten a lot of this from you already in tidbits here and there. But what is the best advice you can give to the people who are listening to this?
Are we talking professional, personal,
I think it
all of
could be
it?
anything. Maybe when you look back at the advice you've received,
Yeah, and I've
what would
received a
you?
lot. Um, Something that stands out is it's almost the most simple advice I've ever gotten, but it has always stuck with me. Um, uh, a gentleman I worked with a long, long time ago. Um, something was going on at work, and there was just some conflict kind of buzzing around, and I remember him saying to me, "You know what? Save the big deals for big deals." And I thought, like, this isn't a big deal at all. So I'm gonna just cross it off the list, and if a really big deal comes around, then it'll be a big deal. And just that was probably 20 years ago, and I still think about it. So
Mhm.
save the
That's
big
great
deals
advice.
for big deals. Yeah.
That's really great advice. I actually heard someone say, save your coins and put them in the bank until you're ready to use them. So that's I like the save or big deal
Yes.
comment. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
take a
feel like
walk.
I wish I knew that when I was
Yeah,
16 years old.
Right?
That would have been great at 16, from 16 until 42. That would be great advice.
Yeah.
Save the big
Yeah.
deals for
It's
big deals.
it's true. And I can't stress enough, since we're talking about, b- leading yourself and all that. Um, I've found that taking a walk outside and clearing my head has been one of the most beneficial things I've ever done for myself. And I'm
Mhm.
not a runner. I'd love to be a runner, but I just can't stand it. I'm a walker, and I do some of my best thinking just walking in a circle, listening to, the birds or a podcast or whatever it is. So it's just so good for your mind and your body. So if you need a good reason, or if you need an excuse, here's your excuse, listener. Go take a walk. You're going to feel better.
Mhm. That's great.
good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on our maiden voyage here. This
Thank
was fantastic.
you.
Yes, thank you
This
so
was
much for joining us.
so fun. I hope to talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Through the Leadership Lens is sponsored by Irish Propane Corporation, serving Western and Central New York. For all your residential and commercial propane needs, choose Irish Propane. Irish Propane is a locally operated, New York State certified, woman owned business. For more information, visit irishpropane.com. Irish Propane delivers peace of mind.
This has been another episode of Through the Leadership Lens presented by Women in Propane. Be sure to subscribe, download, and share with a friend. To learn more about Women in Propane, visit us on Facebook, Instagram, or online at www.womeninpropane.org. I'm Freddie Riddler.
And I'm Bridget Kidd. Thanks for listening. Until next time.